Hey everybody, it's Mike, and I am back. Gonna do some more Wheel of Idiot. We're gonna spin a wheel. I got a brand new wheel, and we're also gonna talk about Iskcon history through the eyes of a Hare Krishna cult member, and whatever else, some other stuff too. I think, pretty sure. Right after we do this opening, so I hope everybody joins in on this show today. So let me see. Here we go. Here we go with the opening. Hello?
Hello.
All right. Hey, so glad to see everybody here. Who's here? We got Trey. Martin wants, hey man, how you doing? Good to see you here. And another hello. Hey, hello. Hey, so I just want to let everyone to know that I do have a Substack account. It's free. You can go subscribe to my Substack. Um, I have all my videos, not all of them. Some of my videos I'm backing them up to Substack in case something happens to my YouTube channel. Uh, you'll be able to follow me. You can follow me on Substack. So if you're a member of Substack, you can go subscribe. If you're not, you can join. You can subscribe, and just know that my videos my videos and stuff are going to be archived as Substack as well. Uh, Hey Mike, can you provide me with an email where I can send you a video? Yeah, absolutely. My email is it's Mike. Uh, Here, let me just send it here so everybody can have it. It's Mike. It's Mike Sandoval.com. Yeah, so there you go. And you can also visit my webpage at itsmikesandoval.com, and you can contact me through there as well. And then we got Liam Matheson. Hey, how you doing? Good to see you here. So I do want to spin the wheel of idiot, see where that lands today. We're going to do that. I'm also going to do the history of Iskcon through the eyes of a demented cult member, and I'll comment on that. And also, I do want to start off with my favorite. One of my favorites right now. Probably one of my favorites is Knitting Cult Lady. And if you follow her, see her videos, you know what I'm talking about. If not, definitely check her out. But I'm gonna show her videos here when I see one that's really good, and you can see the longer ones on her channel. But this is the short ones, and so this is I get a lot of criticism about everybody in the cult. Is everybody a pedophile? Is it really a pedophile cult? All these questions, and like a lot of times these older devotees will say, well, back in the early days, or when I joined, it wasn't like that, or I didn't know about. Some of that might be. Some people may not know what's going on, but that's no excuse. It's no excuse. You should know. You should know what's going on with the group that you joined. the Hare Krishnas. You join the Hare Krishnas, you should know. Like me. Now, it was harder for me to find out because there was no internet. And I tried to research, I tried to find out, but everything that I found out was coming from the cult. So it was, but eventually I did find out stuff about the cult on the internet and through devotees. And it led to me, after a while, it led to me leaving. But now, in today's world, 35 years later, or 30 whatever years later, you can all get all the information right up front. You don't, it's not hard to find now. There's books that have been written, documentaries made. There's videos like me and other people that have been speaking out. When I joined, there was no lawsuit. There was no 400 million lawsuit. I didn't know about gurus falling down and all of this stuff. It took time to learn that. It took time to learn all of these things. But now all the dots are connected. Everything's exposed. Lawsuits have been filed. Gurus have fallen. All the information is out there. And nothing's hidden. Devotees have been killed. Devotees have been beaten. What's in the books has been exposed. All of this stuff is readily available. It's out there in the open. And if you still think that this cult is not what it really is, a pedophile cult protecting predators, and their books are dangerous with horrible teachings, you're brainwashed into the cult if you can't see it. If you can't see it, then I can't help you. But it's right there on the face of it. Right there on the face of it. So to try and say, hey, there was a time when it was good, I'm not buying it. So here's knitting cult lady, and once again she says the same thing I said. She's an expert. I'm no expert. Let's see.
Well, this took a crazy turn, and then you went anti-Semitic, so yikes and gross, and I'm not surprised at all that you were conned into the children of God, and now you want to fight about it. But no, babes, it was never good. David Berg was raping his own daughters before he started the children of God, and he was making his daughters-in-law have sex with him in front of his sons. Okay? It was always a con from the beginning. There is no situation ever where it starts off good and ends up being a cult. It didn't start off about love, faith in Jesus and end up raping children. That's not how it works. Fucking Jesus fucking Christ. You really need to sit the fuck down and deconstruct and get the fuck out of my face, uncle. For the rest of you that want to learn about one of the most hideous cults in history, I wrote a best-selling book about it, Uncultured, about growing up 3 generations into the pedophile cult that this man was a part of and wants to apparently go down saying wasn't that bad. Go fuck yourself. You can get signed copies here or listen to me read it to you on Spotify Premium, and you will understand all of this.
That's what I'm saying. And, I totally agree with her. I agree with her 100%. 100%. And here's a follow-up video that she just did, following up on that last video.
So I wanted you all to see this. Someone defending the Children of God cult. Because people will think that some cults are so bad, so obviously cults. I mean, it's literally the pedophile cult. How can someone defend that? And yet, if you follow this comment, you will see, of course, a man who joined in the 70s, who was conned and coerced into this cult, clearly never deconstructed, and is a horrible person because he immediately got very anti-Semitic and BS. But people will defend it. People will go down defending the most heinous cults just so that they don't have to admit that they were deceived. It's hard to understand, but there it is. I'm Daniela, scholar of cults, extreme groups, and extremely bad leadership, and I wrote a book about growing up in Children of God, which never started good the way Bro claimed. Of course, always was about manipulating people, and raping children. You can get signed copies of Uncultured attached here, or listen to me read it to you on Spotify Premium. Also, today is August 5th, and we finally have Culting of America on pre-sale. You can get all the bundles attached here, or if you're watching this on TikTok, you will have to check out there.
Okay, so here I am back. So I'm back. So I agree with her. I agree with her 100%. And the same goes for Hare Krishna. It's a pedophile cult. Prabhupada was always into child marriage. He had an 11-year-old bride. He was 22, and his bride was 11 when he had sex with her, when he captured her hand. So he's down with that. He's never ever in the 20th century did he ever evolve the idea that was not accepted in society. No, he was the opposite. He felt that child marriage was the answer to society's problems, that it was important for a man and a woman to be married at a young age, 11, 12, 13, to a grown man, so that he could groom her into being his wife. And then when he was done with her, he just tossed her to the side. But that was always Prabhupada's philosophy. He says it in his books. He says it right in the beginning of the Bhagavad Gita. The problem with society is unwanted pregnancy. Women having independence, having children, abortion, fatherless children. The women's liberation means the man has sex with the woman gets pregnant, and the man goes away. And then the woman he says that over and over again. He's totally against that. He was for child marriage. He says that over and over again. He thinks women are too stupid to have independence. They have small brains. They like to be raped. They're 9 times lustier than men. They shouldn't be given any authority. You can't trust them, but you can beat them, though. You can smack them around a little bit if you need to, but don't trust them. It was always about Hare Krishna was always about this. It's in his books. First canto, he's saying. Young girls need to be married. Or first canto, fourth canto, whatever. First canto. Young girls must be married. He says must be married. That's his solution to the problems of society, is getting these little girls married. Like they did 5,000 years ago. It's a 5,000-year-old tradition. That's bullshit. Why is he trying so hard to get everyone to believe that this is the way it should be, that it's 5,000-year-old tradition, it's Vedic marriage, Vedic little girls, gopis are 11, and it's always about manipulating people into being his servants and being his disciples and getting them to distribute his books and make him a cult leader and whatever. And he always thought of himself as some great prophet, some great pope of the world. It was always about the con. It was always about manipulating these Kirtanananda and Satsvarup and Tamal Krishna and all of these guys, manipulating them into doing whatever he said, whatever he wanted them to do, so he could be the cult leader. No different than Charlie Manson, manipulating those kids into doing whatever he wanted. Brainwashing these hippies to put their kids in a boarding school that he had no business even creating. Who the fuck is he to create a boarding school? To put kids in it so the parents could go play Hare Krishna, go cosplay. Friggin' cosplay. I got a friend on the internet. He's a history teacher in L.A. He was a history. I don't know him personally. He's just a Facebook friend. He was a history teacher in L.A. and he goes around. He makes these videos about the history of L.A. and he dresses up like old timey clothes, and he makes these videos, Western clothes and whatever clothes, like an actor, like an actor guy, right? And he makes these videos. He also goes out and he does these these medieval battles with his buddies. They have like Civil War recreators, but these are medieval, and they go out with their swords and their things, and they dress up with their like knights, with their shields and their swords and their armor, and they make their armor in their garages, and they all dress up and they go out and they have these wars. They have these make believe wars, and they fight, and they have knights, and they have lords, and they have the squires and the peasant, and they have a whole society where they have the battle, and they have the king or whatever and the warlord, and they come and he knights them, and they have these. It's like a Renaissance fair with violence. Okay, that's what it is, like a Renaissance fair with fighting. It's and that's what they do for fun. Well, Hare Krishna is the same fucking thing, except they're doing it instead of going out and pretending they're being in a battle. They pretend that they're these monks. They're running around pretending that they are some kind of guru, holy man. And they have their little meetings, and everybody gets dressed up, and they put on the thing, and they dress up like they're 16th century Bengalis, and they run around and they choose all. It's no different than these guys with their medieval Renaissance fair crap. Tell me how it's any different. It's no different. These guys are no friggin' gurus. These guys are just old hippies. They got involved in a scam. And they don't want to admit that they got scammed. They don't want to admit they got scammed. Even though all this shit's going on. Little kids and piece of shit teachings with racism and sexism and all of that crap. They know that shit's in there. They gotta make excuses for it. They gotta make excuses for the friggin' why we can't see the demon head eating the moon. They gotta make excuses for why Prophet says the sun is closer than the moon. Because it's Sunday and Monday. When they asked Prabhupada, why do you say the sun is closer? He said because Sunday comes before Monday. He didn't go into some big PowerPoint presentation about how when you look at the angle of the dangle and all of that shit that they want to. The fuck is that? Prabhupada never said that. Well, the moon's up here, but the sun's over there, and the angle of the dangle and the angle of the dingle. Fuck that. Trying to fucking explain away something that you can't fucking explain, and you want me to sit there and believe that shit? On top of the one bullshit, now you want me to believe some other bullshit that you're trying to explain the first bullshit with some more bullshit? I mean, come on. You should just give it up and just go, yeah, the sun is closer to the moon. I mean, just give it up. Because you gotta play the game, the Prabhupada game. He's the pure devotee, whatever he says, and comes from God and Krishna, and he's from Vaikuntha Loka, and you can't explain it away. You can't. You got to accept it for what it is. There's no way they can explain Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. But these people want to sit there and go, well, they want to sit there and go, well, Prabhupada didn't really know what rape meant. When he said that women like to be raped, what he meant was women like aggressive sex. That's not what he said. He said rape means without consent. Prabhupada knew exactly what he was saying. He didn't say, well, he didn't misuse the word rape. He wasn't confused about rape. He gives him the definition of rape. He says rape means without consent. Otherwise, there's no fucking rape. And then he goes on, and right after that, he says, and women like that sometimes. They like rape. They like a man who's expert at rape. You can't explain that fucking away. You can't say, well, you didn't know what he was talking about. Oh, he meant this or that. No, he explains it. So you won't be confused. He doesn't want you to be confused. He says, rape means this. Women like this. Dup, dup, dup. Because, no. He says, black people are ugly. They belong in the jungle. He didn't say blacks. He said Negroes. He said they're ugly. They belong in the jungle. They're stupid. They're drunkards. You build a library, they're going to come for drinking. Vicious animals in Detroit. You can't say, well, probably we didn't. He didn't know it. No, he knew exactly what he was saying. When he said women are too stupid to understand what women's liberation really is. They, well, no, well, probably meant what Prabhupada meant was no. Prabhupada meant what he meant. And these people want to explain this shit away. You're making sense. Don't follow people. Follow your intuition. Follow the scriptures. Follow the divine God. Hare Krishna. Well, there's no such thing as a divine scripture, but I mean, if you want to find something and follow it on your own, it makes you happy. Absolutely. What does it have to be a divine scripture? In fact, I'd rather you didn't follow a divine scripture because that's going to lead to friggin' problems. I'd rather you go enjoy Taylor Swift or go enjoy some movie or something. Following divine scripture is going to lead to, that's what leads to this stuff. It leads to this kind of stuff. Anger and hate, homophobia, sexism and racism. You need to give that stuff up. These divine scriptures are not divine, and they're not scripture. They're not divine in any sense of the word. But yeah, you need to just just do your own thing. Why, Prabhupada's doing his own thing, but he doesn't want me to do my own thing. He wants me to do his thing. I got to read his book and do what he wants. He doesn't want people doing their own thing, but yet Prabhupada got to do his own thing. Prabhupada, he chose to follow Bhakti Siddhanta. He chose to, do his own thing. But he doesn't want anybody else doing their own thing. He wants everybody to follow him. What's the proof that Krishna is even real? There's no proof. There's none. There's none. But if you want to follow something, you can follow something. Follow something real. That's probably the best. Probably the best thing you can do. So, but the point is that people will defend this stuff. They're defending the scam. Okay, they've been scammed to think that it's 5,000 years old tradition. They're not 5,000 years old. These books aren't 5,000 years old. This stuff is not Vedic. It's all just belief. Yes, it's belief. We don't want Krishna. Thanks. We don't need Krishna. We don't want Krishna. We don't need it. We don't need Krishna. What's Krishna going to do for me? It's a belief. It's a superstitious belief. It's not philosophy. It's not really even really. It's just superstitious belief. It's like voodoo. It's believing that if you don't worship the Govardhan Hill, you're going to die by getting eaten by snakes, or to believe that there's a demon head eating the moon, or that there's a four-headed guy growing out of a flower that's on out of a four-armed guy that's laying on a snake. That's L. Ron Hubbard stuff. It's L. Ron Hubbard type stuff. Why would I believe that? And it's just a superstitious belief. The chanting and the mantras and all of that. If it makes you happy and you want to do it, fine, but you don't have to be part of a pedophile cult. You want to sit and meditate and chant, and you have a mantra you want to do, and knock yourself out. But if you're reading Prabhupada's books and you're hanging out with Hare Krishnas, then, I got a problem with that. I got a problem with Prabhupada's books. I got a problem with Prabhupada's books, and I got a problem with Prabhupada's cult. It's a cult of pedophile protectors, and I got a problem with it. And that's the bottom line. Krishna is amorous pastime. It says he's the only male and all this. Yeah. Yeah. And when you die, when you go back to Krishna Loka, the goal of life is to become an 11-year-old gopi so you can have sex with Krishna. That's the goal of life. That's the goal of spiritual life, is to become a gopi. You don't want to become a cow or a blade of grass or a flower or a parrot. You don't want to be any. You don't even want to be Krishna's boyfriend. You don't want to be one of his cowherd boys. You don't want to be Mother Yashoda or any of that. You want to be one of the gopis. Now, what does that tell you right there? It tells you there's something wrong with this cult. There's something wrong with this. That's a weird thing to. That's a weird thing to want to aspire to. I want to aspire to be so spiritually advanced that when I leave my body and I go back to the spiritual world, I'm going to become an 11-year-old gopi girl that can dance with Krishna in the Rasa Leela. That's a weird friggin' pedophile type cult. I don't know what else to say. I got a problem with the cult and a stupid beliefs. Gopi my bum. That's the goal of life, is to go and become a gopi. And that's what these gurus all want to go and find out who their Rasika Bhava club, whatever. They want to find out who they are. What gopi are they? What gopi am I? It's beyond weird. It's weird would be if they thought that a spaceship was coming, and that if they all put on Nike shoes and took some weird overdose on some weird drugs, that they would be beamed up to the spaceship, and then that spaceship was going to take them off to another planet. That's weird. Thinking that you want to become an 11-year-old girl so Krishna can have sex with you, that's a pedophile cult. I don't know what else to call it. I don't know what else to call it. Real Hinduism is Advaita. I mean, you could say that. I mean, you could say that it's all, Brahman or effulgence or Brahmajyoti or whatever, Advaita or Achinsya Beta Beta Tattva or Advaita, whatever. That's people want to debate that and have a good time debating that. I don't care. But this pedophile stuff about becoming a gopi and having sex with Krishna, that is a little. To me, that's just call me crazy. You can call me crazy if you want, but when Ramananda Roy is, he's the most exalted devotee, because he can control his mind so much that he can not only dance and bathe and touch these young girls, their entire body. He touched every part of their bodies, he says. including their private parts. That includes their private parts. Otherwise, he'd just say he washed their hair and he touched them and he washed their feet. No, he says he touched all their body. He massaged them and he touched their entire bodies with his own hands, just like he was touching wood or stone. You gotta understand what's being said there. Otherwise, it makes no sense. What's the point of him? If he's not touching them, their entire, because he says their entire bodies, their naked entire bodies. Look. What it's implying is that he was either gay. He was a gay man, and he could do that. He could dance, and he could show them all the feminine things, and he could put the makeup on. He could wash them and bathe them and touch them and not feel anything because he was gay. And touching them was like touching stone or wood. Or and he saw them naked and he touched their naked bodies, their entire naked bodies, and he didn't feel anything because he was gay. Or he was so self-controlled in the head that he had such control of his senses and everything that he could touch them fully. He could see them, he could dance with them, he could massage their bodies, their naked bodies, he could do all that. He could touch their private parts. He could do everything because he was so mentally controlled. He was just Ramananda Roy. He was Ramananda Roy. So one of those two things. It's only one of. It can only be one of those. It can only be one of those. Or he's the third one. Actually, he's just a dirty old man. He's a dirty old man, and he was touching him, and he was playing it off like he was self-controlled. Like I'm not feeling anything. It's nothing to me. It's nothing to me. I'm not feeling nothing because that's what pedophiles do. They go, hey, I wasn't touching her, but hey, you pedophiles get caught. They're like, hey, oh no, I didn't know. I didn't know she was 13. She told me she was 18. I didn't know. It's like the guy when the guy catch a predator and he's standing in the guy's kitchen and the guy comes in, he thinks there's a 13-year-old girl in there and he says Chris Hansen standing there, and the guy's like, hey, what are you doing here? No, hey. Indra Yumna Swami, standing there touching these little girls. He's rubbing on them and touching their little girls, and they don't like it because they're old enough to know. They're not toddlers. They're not like he's not putting a baby on his lap like he's grandpa, like he's great grandpa, and he's got a little baby on his lap. No, he's got a freaking 7 or 8-year-old girl standing there. He's rubbing his hands all over her. And that's just, and everybody's standing around like it's okay. Like that's perfectly okay. I never seen anything like it, but I'm not surprised. I mean, seriously. After the history of this cult, that's like probably one of the most harmless things, and it's totally traumatizing that little girl. But in the scheme of things, there are repressed monks trying to become maid servants of Krishna. Yeah, how mentally disturbed. How mentally disturbed. Prabhupada says, I was 22 years old. My wife was 11. And then he has the nerve to say, I didn't even love my wife. I didn't even like her. She was everything though. He says she was everything, but I just didn't like her. After raping her at 11 years old. He couldn't even groom her properly. She didn't like him, he didn't like her. What went wrong there with your Vedic your Vedic culture. How come your Vedic culture didn't work on your 11-year-old bride? And you're gonna tell me this was a scam from the beginning? Everything about this cult is a scam. Probably making these guys sannyasis after a year or 2 years. Like Kirtanananda was supposed to he's a 2-3 years. Kirtananda's a swami. You gotta be kidding me. That's a total disgrace to the whole idea of anyone ever becoming a swami or a sannyasi in India. Someone who's born into the culture, who's born into Hinduism, and they train their lives to become a real sannyasi. And then Prabhupada has the nerve to come over to New York City and make Kirtananda a swami, and Tamal Krishna, and Jaya Tirtha, and Rameshwar, and Hamsaduta. Like, they're friggin', like, they deserve to put that costume on. I can understand Prabhupada wanted to put that costume on. He grew up in that culture. That's all he really knew. It wasn't enough though for him to just live in India and just be one of those guys. That he couldn't do. He had to be the ultimate super guru of the world. The Skampradaya Acharya. That's what he wanted to be. The ultimate scammer. Prabhu fraud. The Skampradaya Acharya. That's it. It wasn't good enough that he just live in India like his god brothers and just preach to whoever they came in. No. He's going to be the ultimate, he's going to be the cult leader. He's a Charlie Manson. No, what's the difference? Basically, he started a cult like Charlie Manson, a cult that destroyed lives, suicides, child abuse, domestic abuse, you name it. Murder, extortion. This was never good. Shit was going on when Prabhupada was here. When Prabhupada was here, the kids were getting molested. Prabhupada had no business putting these people in charge of these kids. He had no business making these people sannyasis. Monks. Friggin' monkeys. Monks. It's a fucking joke. It's a joke. I'm an ex-swami. I'm ex Yashodanandan ex-swami. Trivikram ex-swami. I'm so-and-so ex-swami. Rameshwar ex-swami. Bhavananda ex-swami. The fuck is an ex-swami? Never heard of such a fucking thing. Ex-swami. One thing I couldn't realize that everyone in this cult becomes crazy and criminal. Otherwise, they couldn't stay long enough, and none of them can answer questions regarding their faith. It's a true scam. It is a true scam. It's a true scam. It's emperor's new clothes, and no, everybody's naked, and nobody wants to admit it. From the gurus all the way down to the bottom. I admit it. I figured it out. I was like, what the fuck? I'm in this Ritvik group, and these guys are doing the exact same shit the Iskcon's doing. You had me believe Iskcon had me fooled. The Ritviks had me fooled. I'm like, where is this tomfoolery coming from? How can the Ritviks be doing the same thing how is it possible? Because Prabhupada is the source of all the fuckery. Prabhupada's the source of all the fuckery. They're reading his books, they're chanting they're doing the same exact thing Iskcon's doing. It's just, they're good enough. They don't want to be real gurus, they want to be good enough gurus. And the Iskcon gurus aren't good enough either anyway. Just fucking bullshit all the way around. Monkey and a banana, man. So before we spin the wheel, okay, what do we got here? What do we got here? Radha Suzanne Tal's daughter of Prophet Dasar is biggest demon of coming. This woman rejoices on people's pain. She's stupid. She follows every last. You know, a lot of people are like that. I notice a lot of people are just they're miserable people, and you know, and I don't know what and I saw that, but I saw that the longer I got in, the longer I stayed in, the more miserable everybody seemed. Ritviks are miserable. The Iskcon people are miserable. The gurus are miserable. The followers are miserable. And everyone's putting on a show. Like they're in the temple room and they're acting and they Harinam, Sankirtan, and Harinam and acting like it's the greatest friggin' thing ever. Everybody's so hateful and the karmi's this and karmi's that. And when you step back for a second, you really look at what's going on. It's not what you think it is, especially when you first come in contact. It's like, oh, this is like, wow, this is so different. It's so cool. Man, it's not. So let me see. I'm gonna go through a little bit of this Hare Krishna history through the eyes of this Paranjan, this pod guy. I want to show it shows you two things. It shows you some of the history of Iskcon. He was around, so he knows a lot of this history. But it also shows you his mental illness because how could you be part of this? How can you write all this stuff and recognize all this stuff and then and promote it at the same time? He says, and I'm going to show you where I'm getting it so you don't think I'm making it up. So this is coming from his webpage. And so I'm gonna read some of this and I'm gonna comment on it because he's a nut anyway. So it's let me see what it says. It says he says well, first of all, this guy keeps saying that everyone wants him to write a book, but he doesn't want to write a book because he doesn't want to take time to write a book. Probably because he doesn't know how to write a book. But writing a book's not easy. But yet he just goes on the internet and he does this blog where he basically just writes basically a book, the same book over and over and over and over again, instead of just putting it in a book so that it's there. I guess maybe because if he put it in a book, he'd be done. And he doesn't want to be done, right? He wants to keep going. But I just find it strange that he doesn't want to write a book, but yet every day he writes the same stuff over and over and over again. And I'm going to comment on some of the things that he says and some of the things he does. So here we go. He says, Iskcon history summary. My first encounter with the governing body commission gurus was 1978. In 1978, they claimed Jayatirtha, and then he says, also known as James Immel, in the appointed successor to Srila Prabhupada and Krishna. That sentence doesn't make sense. I'm sorry. I'm sorry that it's just like this weird run-on of words, but my first encounter with the governing body commission in 1978 was they claimed Jayatirtha, also known as James Immel. So he has his own form of, because he writes this for Hare Krishnas. So he's writing this for Hare Krishnas. So this is his way of insulting and doxing them by revealing their name. Now, I'm not trying to dox anybody or reveal it, do anything nefarious. I just have a hard time calling these people by their alias, which is Jayatirtha. We know Jayatirtha is one of these guru guys, but his name is James Immel. That's who he is. That's who he was. That's who he is. He pretended, he called himself Jayatirtha. He pretended to be one of these gurus and he got his head chopped off. But he's James Immel, and that's who he is. And that's who he really that's who he is. um, he says, as soon as I doubted the alleged guru appointment and asked for evidence of this guru appointment, I was painted as a sort of fringe troublemaking dissenter who was doubting Srila Prabhupada's pure devotee successors. So that should have been the first red flag that goes off is is hey, you said something and you got branded as a troublemaker. So that's right there. You should have started to make your exit out of this cult and say this is a bunch of bullshit. But no, he says, and so I was sort of blocked from personally visiting and talking to Jayatirtha, and a number of the UK devotees sort of shunned me as a troublemaker. And Jayatirtha told his followers I was making false accusations and incriminating innuendo, which is pretty much what he does to everybody that he doesn't like. He does that, like he did that to me, and he continues to do that to everyone, as you'll see in his story. He says, however, no evidence of any substance ever showed up that these 11 had ever been appointed as Krishna's successors. There was also a rumor that previously Jayatirtha had problems in Los Angeles with having affairs with female devotees there. So he already had a reputation with some of us that he was not a very stable or steady devotee. Many of these leaders had displayed all sorts of problems, if not gross fall downs, throughout the 1970s, so we felt it was impossible that they could now be transformed magically as Krishna's pure guru successors. Well, Prabhupada could never transform anybody into anything. Not a sannyasi, not a pure devotee, he didn't have any special magical powers that he's going to take these hippies and degenerates in New York City and somehow through his touch or blessing or some fire ceremony or some mystical mantra that he was going to turn Kirtanananda and Hayagriva and Tamal Krishna and Brahmananda and Gargamuni and all of these guys. He was going to somehow magically transform them into some pure devotee or any kind of devotee other than their cosplaying? You really want me to believe that? You really want me to believe that Prabhupada transformed these guys into some kind of spiritual beings? Well, the proof is he didn't, because these guys, almost every one of these guys, fell down it like he says. Many of these leaders had displayed all sorts of problems, if not gross fall downs, throughout the 70s. Throughout the 70s. Prabhupada didn't die until 77. These guys were showing that they had problems almost immediately. And yet the charade is going to go on. It's going to go on. And this guy could see it, but he's not smart enough to say, why am I in this fucking thing? Prabhupada's making people gurus that have no business being gurus. They're having problems. They're having affairs. This guy's obviously not a pure devotee. But I'm going to stick around because, hey, what fucking sense does that make? This guy's known for 40, 50 years. This guy's known for almost 50 years. This is a bunch of shit. But he wants to make excuses for it. Just like Knitting Cult Lady said. People don't want to admit that they got conned. He'd rather defend this bullshit than admit I got taken for a ride. I admit I got taken for a ride 20 years. That ain't an easy thing to admit. It definitely ain't easy to admit at 40 years. Sadistic personality disorder. Individuals with this disorder would deprive derive pleasure from the suffering of others, and engage behaviors like intimidation, humiliation, and physical harm. That's like it sounds like Prabhupada forcing these kids into following four regulative principles that he knows that's they're almost impossible for them to do, chastising them and making them feel guilty when they can't do it, trying to force them into chanting all these rounds and shaving their heads and putting on these clothes just as a loyalty test to him. Why? Because he said so. Because he came from India on a boat, chanted Hare Krishna in the park with his little chingy chings and whatever. Sounds like he did some spiritual blackmailing to them to get them to start doing this thing. Like, hey, I'm the pure devotee, and you got to serve me, and you got to spread my books, and you got to do this, and don't make offenses, and all of this stuff. That sounds like manipulation and brainwashing. Get them started. It was a con from the very beginning. If what he was doing, if chanting and all this stuff was real, even a fraction of it was real, you don't need to put on a dhoti and shave your fucking head. Do all that bullshit. You can just chant. You can just think it. None of it makes sense. Like Gorahari, like this friggin' Gorahari says. I don't believe in numbers of chanting rounds. You can just chant. Well, why even chant? If chanting one round is the same as chanting 12 rounds, why chant one round? Why can't I just think about it? Why isn't thinking about it the same? Why can't I chant in my head? Hold on a second. There, I just chanted like 12 rounds in my head. Why doesn't that count? You see how stupid that sounds? Probably comes to this guy in a dream. Well, why not a dream? If Prabhupada can make a little fire sacrifice, or Yashodananda can do a little fire sacrifice, and somehow I'm connected to this Scampradaya through Yashodananda ex-Swami doing a little fire sacrifice for me, giving me my name, my Sri Mukunda name, if that's good enough, why can't I just imagine it? Well, none of it fucking makes sense. Prabhupada can come to Gorahari in a dream. Bhakti Siddhanta can take initiation from a painting or Kirtananda. Prabhupada really made Kirtananda a Swami by doing a little fire sacrifice and throwing some whatever he did, and now Kirtananda was a. He really want me to believe that bullshit. These guys believed it. This guy writing this thing believed it. He believed it until they all started having problems falling down. Up until they started falling down, he believed it. He believed it all. Don't act like he wasn't right there. He was right there with it. But then when Jayatirtha has problems and these other guys have problems, all of a sudden, well, we got to figure out why these guys are having problems. Oh, well, Prabhupada didn't really initiate that. He didn't really. There's this letter. These guys have been fucking around for fucking 10 years. Almost 20 years. 1966, 1986. 69 to 79, 10 years. Kids being molested in the schools. You guys knew the schools were fucked up. You guys knew the schools were fucked up. They claim if you chant offensively only once, you become a pure devotee. Offenselessly only once, you become a pure devotee. So somehow after 50 years, all these Prabhus making offenses, avoiding the offenses is easy. Any bhakta can do it. So are you telling me? Are you telling me that Trivikram, all in the 60 years that he was chanting, it was all offensively. How does Trivikram, after all of that service and all of that chanting, how does he fall down to have sex with his disciple? How is that possible? The only hard one being attentive, but I've seen people chanting maniacally and still have serious pain. It doesn't work. It doesn't work. Prabhupada was this angry, hateful little guy. He wasn't all peaceful and everything. He wasn't all peaceful and loving and like this grandfatherly guy handing out cookies to the children. They want you to think he was. He was like that, handing out cookies to the children. But when they were these devotees were just interacting with Prabhupada, I've talked to devotees that dealt with Prabhupada. He was like he excuse me, he was just like anybody else. Get pissed off at any little thing, get off the handle, had a temper, talk shit. I would imagine he was. I would imagine these guys learned to be assholes from Prabhupada. Yes, it's very true that the more they chant, the worse they get, and the more criminal they become, and they all end up eating their own vomit. Yeah, and they know, it's a scam. Uh, gotta be how brainwashed you gotta be to actually believe that you're advancing spiritually. And meanwhile, you're not able to chant all your rounds. You're not getting up for Mangalartik. You're not going out on Harinam. What's Sri Dayananda in L.A., lives in L.A., lives in Beverly Hills. He'd come to the temple when I was a Hare Krishna. He'd come to the temple every now and then, give a lecture when he felt like it. I never saw him. I never saw him at Venice Beach on Harinam. I never saw him on Hollywood Boulevard Harinam. I never saw him just hanging out at the temple. I never saw him. Not even at Rath Yatra or at Prabhupada Festival. He was never at Mangalartik. Never at Mangalartik. Virabahu lives across the street from the LA Temple. He was never at Mangalartik. He was never at any of these functions. He was never at any functions. These guys are full of shit. I remember the first time I went to Mangalartik, I was expecting to see all of these guys. There ain't nobody there. Like, where is everybody? There's like 3 or 4 devotees, a couple of devotees, people coming from Karmis coming for the morning at 4:30, pulling up in their cars. But there'd be like maybe 10 people in the temple room. The rest of the community's asleep. The Virabahu wasn't there. Hridayananda wasn't there. Krishna Kumar wasn't there. The other guru wasn't there. Everybody's sleeping. I'm like, what the fuck's going on, man? What kind of fucking thing is this? I was like, I don't understand. I thought we were supposed to. I'm reading Prabhupada's books. I'm like, we're all supposed to be here. We're all supposed to be here. I know there's more than 10 people in this community. I know there's more than 10 people living in these buildings. You got like 5 apartment buildings full of people. And you're going to tell me there's only 10 people here from Mangalartik? They don't believe this shit. They don't believe they got to go to Mangalartik in the morning. They stroll in whenever they want. Go Guru Puja if they want. That's when everyone's there. They want to go 7 o'clock. I'll get up at 6:30. I'll be there for 7 o'clock Guru Puja, but I ain't going for no Mangalartik. They don't believe this shit. They know it's a bunch of bullshit. So he goes on. He says, not too long after that, giant Tirtha began to exhibit signs that he was highly intoxicated in public. He was making very strange yelling and shouting kirtans while sitting in his vyasa seat, and nearly everyone noticed something was very strange. Nearly everyone noticed, but nobody did anything about it. Nobody cared, right? I mean, he says he was the only one who cared, but I doubt if he even cared. There was some tension in L.A. I was over with the TV trying to get Virabahu to attend morning program. His disciple, who was the go-between, was offended by the temple president. I never saw Virabahu at the temple. I mean, I think I seen him like maybe in the 20 years that I was hanging out and the years that I lived there. I think I saw him like twice. I didn't even know he lived. I didn't even know who he was, and that he lived there until my daughter was molested, and that was 4 years after we went to the temple. So for 4 years, I didn't even know he existed and he lived there. I had no idea. And then when she got molested and all this shit happened, they came to me and said, "Hey, Virabahu wants to see you." And I said, "Who's that?" And they said, "He's GBC, or he's like the head guy, guru guy for LA. He lives across the street." And I was like, "Oh, really? There's a there's a guru guy for LA here?" And they're like, "Yeah, he wants to see you." Then when he found out that I wasn't initiated, he didn't want to see me anymore. He canceled. He's like, "Hey, you don't have to go see him. He didn't want to see you." And I was like, "Oh, this motherfucker don't want to see me." So I was like, first I was kind of pissed off that, I had to go see him. And then I was kind of pissed off that he didn't want to he didn't want to see me. It didn't make sense, but who cares? Yeah, but I didn't even know he guy even existed. I think I saw him twice walking across the street from like the gift shop to his apartment, and from his apartment to the gift shop, and that was it. And I was like, "Oh, that's him." I was like, "That's that guy." I was like, "That." This is exactly what I said. "Oh, that's that piece of shit that wanted to see me when my daughter was molested." They didn't give a fuck about these people. The excuse was Virabhai wants to keep a low profile because he doesn't want people to criticize him and thus harm themselves. That was what the disciple told me. And I kind of feel like he kept a low profile because he didn't want to be confronted by anybody, and that's exactly what I thought. Otherwise, why would you not? Why would you hide in your apartment? He was never at the Sunday, never, ever, anywhere. He didn't show up for anything. And I concluded that he didn't want to be confronted by members of the community or whoever. I don't know. I don't know who's going to confront him. Like, I don't know what he's afraid of. But that's like all these guys. That was the same thing with Tamal Krishna. Bitching, "Oh, my disciples hate me. And they always bitching about this and bitching about that." And I'm like, I'm sitting there going, "But you're bitching. Where do you think they get it from when you're sitting here bitching about it? You're bitching about them. They're bitching about you. You sound like a little whiny bitch. So that's what you sound like. You don't sound like no fucking holy man to me." And that's and that was early on. That was around like 90. That was before I think that was before my daughter. That was like around like 94, 90. I was working at ITV. So it was like 94, 95. Somewhere in that area when I met Tamal. Had dinner with Nishingananda. And speaking of Nishingananda, let's see. This guy. There's another one. I gotta say, when your son is tormented in the Gurukula and then tragically takes his life at 18, 17, 18 years old takes his life. That's got to be a big red flag that your cult is a little fucked up. I mean, I'm not laughing at it, but I mean, really, you're. I worked for this guy. I worked for this guy, ITV. This guy, ITV. I worked for him for like 2 years, 2.5 years maybe. Let's see.
The next thing I remember was Prabhupada sitting down in that lounge, and the first words out of his mouth were, "You are not that body." And they just pierced my heart, along with everybody else's there. And Jaduma Swami and I always mention it to each other that we recall that one moment as being so extraordinary for everybody. And then he was driven back to the temple, and I spent the next 3 hours crying my heart out, being relieved, knowing my spiritual father had come back to once again try to extract me from the material world. And that was my first experience of Prabhupada.
What a bunch of bullshit. So his first experience, he saw Prabhupada. All Prabhupada said was, "You're not this body," and he went back and he cried for 3 hours because he realized that Prabhupada was his spiritual father. I don't know. I don't know whether to believe that or not. I just don't know whether to believe that or not. I don't know if a person could be that deluded in the head and actually do that, or if they're so deluded that they want me to believe that. I don't know. I don't know which one it is. I don't know if he's so deluded that he believes that story that he just said, or if he's so deluded that actually happened. It actually happened, or he's so deluded that he's lying and he just figures I'll believe it. I will believe this. But his own son was committed suicide from being traumatized. His stepson was committed suicide in this cult, and his name is David Shapiro. His real name is David Shapiro. He's not Nishringananda. His name is David Shapiro, and he's a good Jewish boy from Beverly Hills. And I'm sure that his parents would have been appalled to know that Prabhupada was a Holocaust denier. To know that Prabhupada denies that millions of Jews were killed in concentration camps in Nazi Germany and all across Europe. Do you believe that? David Shapiro, Nishringananda, Hridayananda, Tamal Krishna, Rameshwar, so many others. Good Jewish boys, brought up in Jewish religion, Jewish household, probably bar mitzvah. And they joined this cult to follow this Holocaust denier who openly says, "I don't believe Hitler was a great man. Hitler was a good man. He was a gentleman. I don't believe he killed millions of Jews in concentration camps." Damn, the brainwashing is just next level. They all have the same testimony upon meeting Prabhupada. Yeah, they all have the same delusion. Rays coming out of his body. Oh, he floated across the floor. He was from another world. It's like he descended. He had this aura. I cried. I almost fell over. I knew him too. He was the rudest devotee I'd ever encountered. I was serving a meal to him in Senior Gurus. He took me aside and told me I stunk. It was because I was cutting coconuts for him. Yeah, these guys, they all feel like they they all have some like the superiority complex, and it all stems from the guy was like 16 when he met Prabhupada. He was like 18 or something. He was like in high school or first year of college, 18, 19. He met Prabhupada. He was a young kid. He was supposed to, he went to the temple, but his parents were pissed. They made him come home, and he went before Prabhupada, and he asked Prabhupada, he said, if my parents want me to go home, I don't want to go home. And Prabhupada said, okay, I'm going to initiate you. I don't know if you know this story. And so Prabhupada gave him some prasadam from his plate. And he said, your name is Nrsingananda Das. You can go home to your parents. Don't worry. You're my disciple. And so then he went home to his parents and stayed and eventually he went back. And I don't know if he ended up, I don't know where he ended up after that, but he ended up with ITV, with Yadubar, doing ITV, and then him and Yadubar split, and Nrsingananda went on with ITV, and that's when I met him. And I was already doing TV, I was doing public access cable, so he was like, "Hey, come work for me at ITV," and I was like, "Yeah, sure, I'll work. I'll work at ITV." So I went to work at ITV. I worked there for like 2 years at LA, and I went to Houston with him and filmed a video for Tamal Krishna with Nrsingananda. It was just me and Nrsingananda went. We were the whole crew, and yeah, and the way he said it was like, "You stink, go do something about it." Yeah, they have this they have this way of being, like, and I think it comes from Prabhupada. It comes from Prabhupada. They want to be like Prabhupada, and so that's probably something that Prabhupada would say, or probably something Prabhupada said. I know, I know. There's a story. I'll tell you. There's a story where um, Atma Tattva Das was a devotee, an Indian devotee. He was in LA for some time, and he would give a lot of lectures at the LA Temple. This is in the early 90s. And he was giving one lecture, and he said that when he was getting initiated, he went up, to Prabhupada, and Prabhupada asked him a question or something. What are the four regular principles, or I don't know, something? And he answered him, and as Prabhupada was handing him his beads, Prabhupada said, "Go wash your mouth. Your breath stinks." And then I guess the temple room laughed or whatever. And he said, "That was my instruction from Prabhupada. It was so great." And I just thought, that's pretty rude to say that in front of the whole thing. But I guess, that's Prabhupada. He wants to. That's his megalomania. Like, he didn't give a shit. And like, "Hey, your breath stinks. Go wash your face," or whatever. Go wash your face. Um, so I think it comes. From Prabhupada. And I know, like, my friend Radhakunda and my other friend Bir Lakshman and Sri Maya, they had a little bit of that. A little bit of that in them. They had a little bit of that attitude, that type of 50, 60 years of Harinam Katha, yet nothing changes in them. It's all bullshit and brainwashing. Yeah, and 50, 60 years of Harinam brainwashing, and then knowing all this bullshit for 20, 30 years, or if not more, that doesn't matter. Having gurus falling down left, right, and center for the last 50 years. I mean, gurus been falling down forever. It's not like they just started. It's not like Trivikram was the first one. I mean, they've been falling down. I mean, Kirtanananda was having problems back in like 1969, 1970, whatever. They've all been having problems forever. And that doesn't discourage anybody. That doesn't discourage the people that are in it. It doesn't. These people have taken initiation from 3 or 4 gurus. You would think after the first one they'd say, "Hey, you know what? Maybe this thing is full of shit." No. My guru fell down. How? I'll just get a new guru. No, why don't you ask yourself, how did your guru fall down? How is that possible? Where in the books does it say that? Where in the teachings does that happen? How does that happen? What's his position now? What's your position now? No, it's just let me get another guru, and then they go get another guru, and then they start the whole shit over again, and then that guru falls down. And well, I guess I better go get another one. I'm having bad luck with gurus today. I better go get me a new one, and I go get a new guru. I mean, how stupid can you be? I mean, really, I mean, I can understand you fall into it, you get sucked into it, you didn't realize. Once your guru falls down, once your guru falls down and you stay, I ain't got no sympathy for you. I got no sympathy for you at all. If your guru falls down and you stay in this shit after everything that you know, after everything that's out there, and your guru falls down, and that's like saying, hey, I'm going to do my own research. You do your own research and you go, oh, this shit's a bunch of bullshit, but I'm going to stay anyway. Well, why the fuck did you do your own research? Why are you going to do your own research and then just stay anyway? Bro was super mean and demoniac. He was not a nice guy, man. Brain dead. The more pure they are, the most ill they become. They got to explain this shit away somehow. Oh, these guys are not able to take karma. Well, why did Prabhupada get so sick? Because he was taking karma? All this whole taking karma bullshit and touching the feet bullshit and the holy name bullshit and the power of Sankirtan bullshit and the power of book distribution bullshit and 11-year-old girls bullshit and dancing with the gopis bullshit and the Lord Chaitanya bullshit. Guru's pure devotee bullshit, Scampradaya Acharya bullshit. Great point. A lot of Iskcon fanatics who left Iskcon in the 80s and 90s went to take shelter of Narayan Maharaj, thinking that he was the chosen one after Prabhupada. I know they're just so dumb. They're just so dumb. It's like, kick me again. Please kick me again. Like I didn't learn the first time. I didn't learn the first time. So let me go find some other guru from Narayan Maharaj guru that can fuck my life over even more. Just the stupidity of the whole thing. Yeah, absolutely, man. I never understood that. When I heard about that, when I first heard about Narayan Maharaj, I was like, who's that? Oh, it's God's brother, blah, blah, blah. This. All I started hearing was a bunch of bullshit, more bullshit. Prabhupada this, and Prabhupada that, and many fell for Yuga Acharya, Narayan Maharaj, another fraud preaching scam. Yes, absolutely. He learned it from Prabhupada. Narayan Maharaj is like, well, if Prabhupada can do it, I think I can do it too. And he's like, if Prabhupada's disciples can do it, I definitely can do it. Like, like Narayan Maharaj, he looked at Jayapataka and Hansaduta and Rishikesh and Rameshwar. He's like, who the fuck are they? Who the fuck are these guys? These guys are pure devotees? These guys are... You gotta be kidding me. Narayan Maharaj like me, he's like, well, who the fuck is that? Jayapataka? These guys are pure devotees? After all the shit that they've been through? I mean, Narayan Maharaj, that's just another scam, but I understand what he's saying. He's like, what the fuck is this? They love Guru. Yeah, Prabhupada's got him brainwashed. I can't live my life without without a guru. I gotta have some pure devotee. Like there's some pure devotee that's talking to God. That's like they really think Indra Yumna Swami is talking. Like he somehow connects you or them to something. How fucking insane is that? How insane is that? Scam, just like you. Who's a scam? I'm a scam? I'm not real? I'm not real. These fucking idiots, I swear. What do you have? What else do you have to say? What else you got to say? All right. Since you're here, let's spin the wheel of stupid. Let's spin the wheel of idiot. Let's do that. Since we'll finish up with the Krishna history later. And I'm done with that. I want to spin the wheel of stupid. Let me show you who we got on the wheel. Okay. Let me see. Let me find the wheel of stupid. The wheel of idiot. There we go. We got our wheel. Our online wheel. Oh, Kanchalapati da Kabu. Yay. The wheel of stupid landed on Chanchalapati Das. Let me see. How do I get out of this now? Bing. Okay. Let's find this idiot and see what he has to say. Let's see what he has to say. We never know.
Vasudevaya and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki. In this way, being purified by ritualistic sacrifices, the heart of Maharaj Bharata was completely uncontaminated. His devotional service unto Vasudeva, Lord Krishna, increased day after day. Lord Krishna, the son of Vasudeva, is the original personality of Godhead, manifest as the Supersoul Paramatma, as well as the impersonal Brahman. Yogis meditate upon the localized Paramatma situated in the heart. Jnanis worship the impersonal Brahman as the supreme absolute truth. And devotees worship Vasudeva, the supreme personality of Godhead, whose transcendental body is described in the Shastras. His body is decorated with the Srivatsa, the Kaustuba jewel, and a flower. So in that state of Vishuddha.
Okay, so as you can see here, we have one of these. How do I get this back over here again? Okay, so here you can see we have one of these Hare Krishna cult members one of the members of the pedophile cult cosplaying as a holy man, and as you can see, he's got the garb of a holy man. He's got the tilak on. He's got the beads. He's got the flowers sitting in front of his little book there. His little book of pedophile stories. Let's see. I'm sure I'm sure he had went both to Vaikuntha and Goloka Vrindavan to have coconut water shakes with Prabhu Fraud. So as you can see, he's cosplaying as a 16th century Bengali. He thinks he's a holy man. But as you know, as I showed in my other video, this same Iskcon Bangalore Sangha recently had Tattva Darshan giving a lecture, right there. So this Chanchalapati is lecturing from in the same place that the pedophile, the convicted pedophile in Cambodia, convicted of debauchery with a 12-year-old girl who's a registered sex offender. He also lectures from the same temple, the same Bangalore Sangha. So these Ritviks, this Chanchalapati here, is working with Tattva Darshan, who has a farm where he's had allegations of child abuse, many allegations of child abuse, and he was convicted in Cambodia, and yet these guys let him lecture in their temple. They let him lecture. They defend him. They got him out of jail. Why do they do that? Why does Chanchalapati do that? You can see right here, Iskcon Bangalore Sangha, or Sangha, or however you want to pronounce it. You know? And if we go over here to their page, and you look at their videos, you'll see Tattva Darshan on here giving a lecture. And I don't understand why they would do that. I'm trying to find it here. We were watching it the other day on my other.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vas.
So daily lectures. I don't know. I don't seem to find it now. Did they take it off? Maybe they took it down.
This is how the brain of a procrastinator functions compared to a high achiever. Procrastinators tend to have.
I don't know if they took it down. I don't know what happened to it, but it used to be right up here in the front. So oh, these are the kind of here it is right here.
So there was a tumultuous kirtan in the airport. We could do kirtans at that time in the airport. And the Radha Damodar parties were there, the traveling parties. A lot of people, because it was New Vrindavan. It was a big gathering. And of course, there were some other passengers and airport officials around. So finally, Prabhupada walks out. We're right down there in the middle of the kirtan, right in the center. Prabhupada walks out.
Bangalore? Why are you promoting this guy? Why is he lecturing? Why is he lecturing for Iskcon Bangalore? They ain't nobody else that can lecture? Chanchalapati supports this guy? That's the kind of person Chanchalapati is? That's the kind of place Iskcon Bangalore is? These Ritviks, Madhu Pandit, and all these guys? Huh? Phoenix? Does Phoenix have an answer for us as why these pedophiles are constantly being promoted? Is it because of Ramananda Roy? Is it because Prabhupada was 22 when he had sex with his 11-year-old wife? Is that why? Is that why you can't give it up? You can't give up the pedophilia? Is it because of what is it? Is it because Prabhupada says in the Bhagavatam that 11, 12, 13-year-old girls must be married 25-year-old men? Is it because women are less intelligent? They have small brains? They like to be raped? What is it about it? What is it about this cult that keeps you in there, Phoenix? What is it about this cult? What does it make? What is it that makes you want to stay? Is it the pedophilia? Is it protecting people like Lokanath and Bhaktividya Purnaswamy? People like this? This big time.
Shanti Shanti Om Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shiva Sari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare.
This guy, big time child molester. Who's a real Negro? That's what Prabhupada would say. Prabhupada would say, who's the real Negro? Prabhupada would say, who's the real Negro? The Negroes, those vicious animals in Detroit. Those are the real Negroes. Those are the real Negroes, the vicious ones, those vicious animals in Detroit. The ones that steal and rape in Central Park. The ones that are just nothing but drunkards. Should I believe Prabhupada when he says that Negroes are nothing but drunkards? Should I believe that? Is that something that you want me to believe, Phoenix? Phoenix, you want me to believe that when Prabhupada says that black people, that Negroes are just drunkards and thieves and rapists? Should I believe that because it's coming from the lips of a pure devotee? Is that nectar coming from the lips of a pure devotee? You tell me. You tell me, Phoenix. When Prabhupada says that the Negroes just come for drinking, they won't come for reading. Should I believe that? Should I become a racist like Prabhupada? Is that what I should do? Should I believe that black people are ugly and belong in the jungles? Is that the real coming? Is that coming from Krishna? Does Krishna say that in the Bhagavad Gita? That black people are ugly and belong in the jungles? Phoenix? Hello, Phoenix, are you there? Earth to Phoenix. Earth to Phoenix. Hello, Phoenix. Should I believe Prabhupada when he says Negroes are ugly and belong in the jungle, never should have been given freedom, and that civil rights was wrong, and Abraham Lincoln was wrong for freeing the slaves? Should I believe Prabhupada when he says that? Phoenix? Phoenix? Hello, Phoenix. We lost Phoenix. Phoenix doesn't want to answer anymore. Yeah. Phoenix doesn't want to answer the real questions. He serves his guru all day and now he's not talking to time because he turned out to be a cute, pure devotee who likes to seduce women. Such is this process. See, Phoenix probably has a black guru named Devamrita or whoever. So he's been brainwashed into thinking that this is not racist, that Prabhupada's not racist. Prabhupada would never say anything racist like black people belong in the jungle and that Negroes are dangerous and Negroes are ugly and slaves shouldn't have been free and civil rights is bad. You're here for the Wheel of Idiot. It landed on Chanchalapati, is what it did. It landed on Chanchalapati. If this man who clearly did everything possible in the book became a failure, then what to speak of others? Well, yeah, because Prabhupada was doing snuff. Prabhupada was doing snuff. He had sex with an 11-year-old girl when he was 22. These people don't care. And people like Phoenix, they don't care that Prabhupada had sex with an 11-year-old girl. They don't care that Kirtananda was having sex with little boys. They don't care that Bhavananda was having sex with little boys. They don't care that Rameshwar ran off with an underage girl. They don't care that Harikesh ran off with his therapist. They don't care that Hansaduta was having prostitution and drugs and guns and all of that stuff. They don't care. They don't care that the Laguna Beach Temple was running drugs and doing all kinds of crap out of the Laguna Beach Temple. They don't care. They don't care about that stuff. They don't care about all the kids that were molested. They don't care about all the grown kids that have killed themselves. They probably never been to a funeral. I went to a funeral. I went to Nishringananda's son's funeral. They don't care. Jagjivan committed suicide because he was gay. And he couldn't deal with being gay in Prabhupada's movement. They don't care. You think Yashodananda cared that Jagjivan killed himself? He don't give a fuck. You think Dhamma Ghosh and all of these guys that pretended to be Jagjivan's friend, you think they gave a shit? They didn't give a fuck. Add Phoenix to the wheel of idiots. Oh, yeah, that's a good idea. I think I'll do that. Let's do that right now. Let's do that right now. Go down here. It's got to go down here. And all right. So I can't. I think I'm maxed out. I'll have to take somebody off, but I'll definitely add them in there. Let me see. There we go. So we added Phoenix to the wheel of idiot, the wheel of idiots. So, but we don't know. We don't know what Phoenix. Well, if it falls on him, we'll just make fun of him, I guess, because he needs it. He needs to hear this. He needs to hear the truth. He needs to hear the truth because no, he's not hearing this from anybody. Nobody is telling him the truth. All he's hearing is lies. Lies and lies and lies. He hears these guys going on, oh, you know what? He hears these people just lying to him all day long. I have seen devotees chanting 60 round malas. These so-called gurus and trainers can't even finish one mala of the Maha Mantra, yet they are worshipped and have their feet kissed and adorned like gods. So, Yashodananda probably thought, oh, it's his karma to die for being gay, like every goddamn heartless Hare. Yeah, you know what? He probably did. He probably did think that. They probably all thought that. That's exactly what they probably thought. They probably like, oh, he died. Oh, that's too bad. But, he was gay. So, he got a new body and maybe he's not gay. Maybe in his new next life, he won't be gay. Or they're thinking he became a woman in his next life because he was gay. So he became a woman. I mean, all kinds of weird things that they think. It's fucking disgusting. It's like if you think that children, that these demigods that came down from Vaikuntha Loka or the heavenly planets, these demigods that came down from the heavenly planets to participate in Prabhupada's movement, like that devotee said, Prabhupada said that these are not special, that they came down from the heavenly planets to be in Prabhupada's movement, and then your friggin' cult rapes them and molests them and tortures them. Do you really believe that they came from the heavenly planets? Do you really believe that they're demigods? Or is it just a bunch of bullshit? Because how do you believe Prabhupada when he says these are Vaikuntha children that came from Vaikuntha, they're coming from the heavenly planets? How do you believe him and then take those children and rape them? Oh, man, it's just gurus keeping young boys like Krishna Kumar Swami is keeping those two boys in his apartment. Now, I'm not saying he was doing anything. I'm not saying anything was happening, but how would you know? Unless you walked in on them. But I mean, you don't know, and you shouldn't. You shouldn't. In a normal world, you wouldn't be suspecting them of anything, but not in the Krishna world. In the Krishna world, you got to suspect them of every fucking thing because they're doing every fucking thing. They're raping little kids. They're beating their wives. They're being racist. They're being sexist. They shoot each other they shoot each other. Kill each other. They shot the guy in the van, but they killed even more people. There's more people than just the guy in the van. There was a bunch of bodies in New Vrindavan. There was a lot of people in New Vrindavan that were in on that shit. And they're in Iskcon today. And people like Phoenix and all these other idiots are like, oh, you know what you're talking about. I know what I'm talking about, you fucking idiot. Oh, you're not real. You're a scam. Yeah, I'm a scam. I'm a scam. Fuck you, you fucking piece of shit. Just like everybody else, a fucking piece of shit. He came to the right place though, because he knows he needs to be deprogrammed. He knows he's in a fucking cult of bullshit. He can't get out of it because he doesn't know how to get out of it. He's stuck in there. It's another brainwashed piece of shit trying to get other people into his fucking piece of shit pedo cult. Well, you're a scam. You don't know what's real. Fuck you. Piece of shit. I think Phoenix is just an idiot, and he's on the wheel of idiot, and that's it. And that's where we're gonna put these guys. We're gonna keep putting them on the wheel of idiot every time. Let's see. I had managed to save my three of my nephews and 4 of my nieces from Iskcon, but sadly their parents are still in Iskcon. And my nephews and nieces are doing much better without all the brainwashing. Well, good for you. That's good. That's good to hear. You know, it is really hard. It's brainwashing. It's like spiritual blackmail. People feel like they're like, well, I know how they feel like if they give it up, they have nothing. They don't know anything else. They're just like jumping off a cliff. They don't know what's going to happen, where it's going to go. I felt that way. I had an exit route, and I still felt like, oh my God, my whole life was turned upside down, because this cult consumes your entire life. It's your diet, it's your belief system, it's what you do physically. You chant, you go, you have your thing, you go to sleep at a certain time, you get up at a certain time, you eat, everything's regimented, everything's fixed. And when you leave, it's a complete none of that. Now, I don't have to be vegetarian anymore. If I want to be, I can, but it's not a part of my identity. I don't have to wear, I can wear whatever I want. I don't have to be anywhere at a certain time. And I'm not reading these books anymore. I spent so much time reading those fucking books when I could have been doing so much other stuff. So much time going to the temple when I could have been doing other things. And now I'm not doing that. So it's like, I got all this time. What do I do with it? It was a big shock. It's a shock for a lot of people. A lot of people don't want to go through that. I'll just put my head down. I'm going to keep chanting because that's what I'm doing. And hey, like my friend Radha Kuhn said, I don't want to stop doing what I'm doing. Even if you could prove to me that it's not real, I would still do it because I like it. That's like, it's a sport or it's a hobby. Sports isn't real. You're not really doing anything. You're You're playing a game. It's just a game. You're not doing anything. You might win a trophy or something, but so what? It's not, so what? But it's fun and it's a hobby, and you go and you play tennis and you do what, you play golf or whatever. He wants to play Hare Krishna. He wants to cosplay as a Hare Krishna. Like my friend goes out, he pretends like he's a medieval knight, and he's out there fighting knights, and he's battling like it's the Holy Grail or whatever. That's his hobby. He's cosplaying. That's what Phoenix is doing. What these guys are doing. It's fun. They think it's real, but it's not. But they're not going to stop just because it's not real. Just like this guy's not going to stop going out and doing his medieval war thing. He knows it's not real. It doesn't matter that it's not real. He's going to go out and do his medieval battle and play Renaissance fair every chance he gets, because that's fun to him. And that's what these Hare Krishnas are doing. They get up at 4:30 in the morning. They go to the temple. They pretend they're a 16th century Bengali, and they say prayers to the flowers, and they say prayers to the statue, and they say prayers to the little plant, and they do whatever. And they're cosplaying. Just like my friend goes out and plays medieval war, medieval knights in shining armor, or Civil War reenactment. It's the same exact thing. Just that they think it's a spiritual. Think it's a spiritual game. And my friend is just playing knights in shining armor. They're playing guru in a dhoti. That's all. That's all it is. Absolutely no different. And they want all of us to think that what they're doing is real. Can you imagine if my friend was trying to convince me that the Renaissance fair is real? And his knights and battles and knights in shining armor and his medieval, that's all real? It's one thing for him to go play, to go to some national park somewhere, and they set up their camps and they got their flags and they got their tents and they pretend it's, Renaissance war or whatever it is. They pretend they're having their, and they're having their little battles and they're pretending. That's fine. That's their fun. But if they thought it was real, if they thought that it was real and that they were really doing it, that's another level of mental illness. And that's what these Hare Krishnas are doing. They think what they're doing is real. They're out there with their sticks and their orange clothes and their beads and their paint and all their stuff, and they think it's all real. It's not real. Just like there's no such thing as an ex-swami. There's no such thing as an ex-guru. Look, if you're a swami and you can't be a swami anymore because that means it ain't real. You're not an ex-swami. You're fake. You need to just go get a job. You need to go down to the car wash and get a fucking job. You're not a swami. You never were, and you're never gonna be. This is ex-swami. Yashodanandan ex-swami. Trivikram ex-swami. Rameshwar ex-swami. What the fuck is that? That is some real mental illness. That is some real mental illness when you can say, well, I was a swami, but I'm not a swami anymore. But, I kind of was. So I'm not a swami, but I'm an ex-swami. Fuck. My nephew still have some traumatizing experience being in Gurukula. Ugh. They're molested. That's like that, that's like the last thing I wanted to hear. That's like the last thing I wanted to hear, but that something like that happened. But I'm really sorry. I'm really sorry to hear that anything happens to, and I know like all the time that I've been talking about this, and you're watching and you're hearing me talk about it, and it's like, you know exactly what I'm saying. Just like my daughter was, molested, traumatized. But it's a shame. It's a shame, and the shit's still going on. It's still happening. The same people are in charge. The same gurus are there. The same child protection fucks are there. It's the same. Everything is there, and nothing's changed. Nothing's changed in 40 years. Swavas is still at the LA Temple. He was at the LA Temple when I first went there 35, 33 years ago. He was the temple president when I first walked up there. He's still the temple president, 35 years. You're not going anywhere. He was there. He's been there the whole time. All these kids were molested. Kids were molested before my daughter. Kids were molested when my daughter was there. Kids were molested after my daughter left. He's been there the whole time. Do they care? Does anybody say, hey, Swavas, if you can't handle these kids and keep them safe, you're going to find a new temple president? No. You think he's going anywhere? He ain't going anywhere. He owns that place. He owns that place. They can't get rid of him. They'd have to bomb that place to get rid of Swavas. He ain't going nowhere. They could molest every kid in the school, in the street, in the community. He ain't going nowhere. And it's like that everywhere. They ain't getting rid of these guys. The only way they get rid of these guys is they leave, like Trivikram. They bounce out like me. Same people are there. Same people that were there. The same. Swavas is still there. Padmagarva is still there. The guy that molested my daughter, who knows where he is? They just let him. He was just free to go wherever he wanted to go. He was able to stay at the temple as long as he wanted, and then he was able to just leave whenever he wanted to go to wherever he wanted to go and go do it all over again like nothing ever happened. Go to some other temple. Go work in another school somewhere. That was his MO. He'd get a job in a school, pretend to be a devotee, get a job in a school, all kinds of kids. And since they don't kick him out, he's just going to go from one school to another. And I know people don't like listening to this. They don't like hearing this. Hare Krishna's in it. They don't like hearing the truth. They just don't like it. They don't want to hear the truth. They don't want to hear me talk about kids getting molested. They don't want to hear Eliana talking about, they don't want to hear that one of them was 14, the other is 17, the oldest nephew is now 21. So this happened not that long ago, 7 years ago. They're thriving without Iskcon, and they go to your brainwashing, abuses, and molestations. Yeah, they're thriving now without this friggin' cult. And I bet you the cult did nothing for them. It does nothing for them. You got to get them out. They don't get therapy. The cult doesn't give them therapy. You think the cult finds out that kids have been molested, and the cult's like, oh, well, we're going to send you to therapy, on us. We're going to pay for the doctors, and we're going to pay for everything. No. You think they have a fund where when kids are molested or abused, that they can dip into a fund to compensate the kids, since they don't turn them into the police? No one ever gets prosecuted. Rarely do they get prosecuted. I don't want to say ever. Rarely does anyone get prosecuted. Rarely does anyone get prosecuted by the authorities. Occasionally, when they can't help it, Iskcon will do something. When it's so horrible that they can't ignore it, Iskcon will do something. Otherwise, they pretend like nothing ever happened. They don't want to hear me talking about it. These people don't want to hear about it. Hare Krishnas come in here, they don't want to hear about it. They want to come in and see what I'm talking about, but they don't want to hear it. Like Phoenix. Come in and I'll go in and talk shit. But you don't want to hear all that bullshit. You don't want to hear how he's an idiot for staying in. You don't want to feel how he's complicit. You don't feel how he's pulling people in. People are falling into this cult because of people like him, and then they're going to be abused, or maybe commit suicide, or maybe their children will be abused. Who knows? They might get shot in a van somewhere. You don't know with these people. I feel bad for children who grow up in this cult. The scars, impression, and guilt tripping, brainwashed. I feel really bad for them too because a lot of them suffer from. Oh, is this how I get it to? No, that's not it either. I can't get it to. I can't get it to straighten out. I don't know. I don't know how to get it straightened out. I'm like OCD and my brain's out. They don't. The ones that are born in, they don't know how to get out. Rarely do they get out. Some of them do. It's harder for them to get out because they don't know a world outside of Krishna. So there is no world outside. There is no leaving. For a lot of these people, there is no leaving. They don't understand that they can leave. Their family's in, like Ileana, the family's in, the mom is in, the dad's in, the cousins are in, the kids are in, grandkids are, everybody's in. And they grew up in it. So there is no leaving. Like, what am I going to leave my family? Like, I got to leave my family. It's clown. Yep, it's cosplaying, clown. These people. Oh man, this is heartbreaking. The 4 girls are now in high school, and one of them is in college. They're doing well in their studies in life, but they had to adjust and learn the hard way, and it was sad. Yeah, I'm glad my daughter got out when she did. She got out when she was 12. She said, "I don't want to do this anymore, Dad. I'm done." She stayed friends with her friends that she knew when she was in school. She stayed in contact with them somewhat. She doesn't hang out with them, but she's in contact with them because they went to school together. But I'm glad she didn't. Now, when I look back, I'm glad she didn't stay in. I'm glad she got out, and I'm glad everything. I'm glad she adjusted well and everything is. At first, it was rough when she first went to public school. It wasn't like being around devotees. She thought karmis were really mean. The world was mean, and they weren't nice. People weren't nice like devotees were. And she would tell me, she's like, "Oh, school is kind of if everybody's so mean, everybody's mean and they're not nice and all this." And I was like, "Yeah, they're kind of karmis are kind of mean in a way. It's not the same. It's not the same world, But then when I got out, then I realized that it's really the Hare Krishnas are the ones that have a problem. It's not the outside world. Um, ex-master, ex-swami. I myself left Iskcon, and I knew Iskcon swamis and gurus, brahmacharis are all mental cases. But I was not born in the cult, so I count myself lucky, unlike the kids. Yeah, yeah, I feel lucky too. Those kids, man. I met so many kids. Kids in Badger, Krishna Kata had like 4 kids. All the kids that were in school with my daughter, there was like 7 or 8 kids in school with my daughter. Little kids all the way up to my daughter was almost the oldest one. There were a couple older kids. Janaki was a little older than my daughter, and then there was Rama Kelly was in the school for a while, and then there was Vidu and Ram Nomi and Sita and Ananga. I don't know, a bunch of kids in that school with my daughter. The senior Prabhus have no retirement benefits, so they have no option but to work to death. They're in the 70s and won't get. Yeah, absolutely. I totally agree. They have no retirement benefits. In fact, there was a devotee when I was hanging out up there at the LA temple. Maybe you know him. Uh, well, he passed away, but he was an old. He had to be close to 80 years old. His name was Gaur Bhavana, I think. Krishna Bhavana, Gaura Bhavana, I think his name was. And he was old. He was a big guy. He was like a big country bumpkin guy. Like Junior Samples or something. He's like a big, looked like Wimpy or something. He was a big old guy. He had to be in his late 70s, and this was back in the mid 90s. He was an old guy. And he was working. He had to work. They had him doing something. He'd out there sweeping, doing something. He would like guard the restaurant. He'd sit out there and he'd kind of shoo the kids away. This is when my daughter was in school, so this was like in the early 90s. And he was kind of like a watchman, night watch. He had some service that they had him doing, but he was an old guy, and he should have been retired. He should have been retired. He should have been retired. Living in Mexico, on the beach in Mexico, retired, sipping margaritas, whatever, whatever. They'd be working at 80 years old, being a security guard at a restaurant and temple or whatever. Is this? Hi, Mike. Our friend, the Scourge of the Hare Krishnas, just joined now, so I wish later on. Yeah, you check it earlier. I get some pretty good jokes in there. Goddamn Colt. Goddamn Colt. Probably said if was the kid's karma that they get molested when he was asked about the sexual abuse cases already happening when he was alive. I don't know that Prabhupada said that it was their karma to get molested. I never heard that. I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised that he could be that disgusting of a person. But I never heard him say that it's their karma. But everything's karma. So according to them, it is their karma. According to Prabhupada's books, everything is karma. And actually, everything is karma except transcendental service, devotional service is not karma. You don't get any reaction for that. So if they're in the Gurukula doing devotional service, how is it their karma? What karma do they have? If they're born in the movement and they're coming from the heavenly planets into Prabhupada's movement, they should be karma free. They shouldn't have any karma. There's no karma to burn. What karma do they have? They're coming down, taking birth in Prabhupada's Sankirtan movement, Lord Chaitanya's Sankirtan movement. They're coming from the heavenly planets, from Vaikuntha, from Goloka Vrindavan, from wherever they're coming from the spiritual world. They're coming from the spiritual world down into Prabhupada's movement, into Lord Chaitanya's golden age. How do they have karma? And how is their karma so bad that they have to be raped and tortured in a Gurukula? Make it make sense. How does that make sense? Yeah, if there's a hell, Prabhupada's there. Yeah, I agree. Prabhupada's just there. Unless someone poisoned their milk, like how they did to Prabhupada. Yeah, I don't know. Them poisoning Prabhupada, again, that goes against, like, how do they poison the pure devotee that's protected by Krishna? They think that if they can prove that the Prabhupada was poisoned by these guys, and then that proves that everything's perfect. Somehow figure that one out. Prabhupada is boiling happily in it. Prabhupada's in hell, man. He just caused so much pain and suffering to so many kids and so many people. Sexual molestation is like murder. In fact, it's even worse. Yeah, sexual molestation is pretty bad. I mean, it's pretty bad. But okay, molesting kids is bad. Okay, molesting kids is really bad. It's like one of the worst things you can do. But what if you actually believe that molesting kids, 11-year-old girls, are the most beautiful, and you believe that 11-year-old girls should be married, and you believe there's nothing wrong with molesting, marrying little girls, and you also believe that women like to be raped? That makes it even worse. It's one thing to go, okay, I know robbing a bank is wrong, and I'm going to go rob it anyway. And I'm going to deal with the consequences later, but I know it's wrong. But to say robbing a bank is not wrong, and I'm going to go rob the bank because I don't think robbing a bank is wrong. I think it's perfectly justified for me to take that money out of the bank. That's like, you're not even in reality. You're not even living in the real world where robbing a bank is wrong. You're not even living in a reality where having sex with a 12-year-old girl is wrong. A pedophile knows it's wrong. That's why they sneak and hide and deny. And they say, no, I didn't do it. Or no, it's not me. When they get caught to catch a predator and the guy's standing there and they walk into the house and the guy goes, hey, what are you doing here? You thought there was a 12-year-old girl here? And the guy goes, no, I didn't think it was a 12. I was just, no, because he knows it's wrong. He knows it's wrong. So he says, no, I got the wrong house. I thought she was older. He knows it's wrong. But a Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna says, 11-year-old girls, no problem. 12-year-old girls, 11-year-old girls, that's when they look their most beautiful. That's when they become women. It says in Prabhupada's books, 11-year-old girls, gopis were 11. Prabhupada had sex with an 11-year-old girl. He was 22 years. That's a whole nother fucking level. That's pedophilia and saying it's okay. That's not saying, oh, it's pedophilia and it's wrong. That's not saying, oh yeah, I robbed a bank and robbing a bank is wrong and I robbed it. No, it's saying robbing a bank ain't wrong. Pedophilia ain't wrong. How is it wrong when it's in Prabhupada's books? How is that wrong? That's a whole nother level of disgusting. That's why when I say piece of shit, these people are pieces of shit. You got Jitterati and Damagosh and Yashodananda defending this creep, defending him by saying, well, 11-year-old girls, Prabhu, it's Vedic. 11-year-old girls is Vedic. 12-year-old girls is Vedic. That's a whole nother fucking level of fucking pedophilia. That's like not even admitting that it's pedophilia. That's saying it's not wrong. That's denying it's even pedophilia. That's saying it's not pedophilia. It's Vedic. It's Vedic, Prabhu. It's Vedic. It's fucking disgusting. I'm done with this. I'm it's no pension, no senior folks have nowhere to go, no service to that, no, nothing. They don't get nothing. My friend, my friend, he went on disability. He got crazy money. He started acting crazy. He went and said, I have nothing. I have no Social Security. That don't work. He's getting older. He's getting close to 60 years old. He didn't have nothing. Lost his job. He didn't have a job. Didn't have no savings. Didn't have nothing. So he started acting crazy and going down to the county, and it took him 2 years. Took him 2 years to get on Social Security, get disability, mental, crazy money. He went down there and he told him, I hear voices. I talk to people. He'd go in there and act nuts and act crazy. He told me. I go in there and I start, and he put on a whole show. And then he finally got it. He finally got this money, a lot of it. He got like a big lump sum of money, back money, and then he got his monthly check. Social Security, Social Security disability money, because he didn't have anything. He blew through the money. And then he was just living on Social Security. Then he has a stroke, and he has to go into a nursing home. So now he's on Social Security. So they just take his Social Security check and they stick him in a home up on Beverly and Fairfax somewhere, Melrose, Beverly or Melrose, in some convalescent home. And he can't do anything because he didn't have any money to do anything. They take all his money. I think he passed away because I lost contact with him. But he was pretty old. And he was pretty sick, and this was a long time ago. And he wasn't doing too good. So I don't even think. I think he probably passed away. But he was living in this convalescent home, confined to the. I would go visit him, and then they said, "Yeah, you can't come visit him anymore." Like they changed owners. They changed owners, and they wouldn't let me come see him because I wasn't family. So I wasn't able to go see him anymore, and then I lost contact with him. But when I was going up to see him, I could take him out for he had like an hour or two when he could leave. And I'd go up and we'd go out and I'd take him in the car, we'd go for a little drive and I'd take him back and we'd talk, we'd hang out, and then I'd drop him off. That was the guy that got me into the Hare Krishnas. I was still a Hare Krishna then. And I'd go see him. And then the convalescent home changed owners or something happened and they wouldn't let me in. They wouldn't let me come see him anymore. They said, "No, you can't come see him." And then I remember contacting them and they said, "He's not here anymore. He's gone. We moved him somewhere else." And that was the last I heard of him. But that's how he ended up, because he had nothing. He was a Hare Krishna his whole life. He was a Hare Krishna his whole life. He didn't do anything. From like 1971 till, I don't know, 78, 77, 78. And then he was just like a bum after that because he never did anything. He was always a Hare Krishna, but he was out of the temple. He moved out of the temple in like 70 or something. But he remained a Hare Krishna. But he never did anything. He never did anything. And that's how these guys are going to end up, and that's how you're going to end up if you stay in this goddamn cult. You have no Social Security. What's Brigu Party going to do? What's that guy I saw today? The LA Temple had a live stream. And I saw those nuts in there in the temple. Same guys. They just looked 20 years older than when I knew them. They're all in there. Brigu Party. I can't remember this. Krishna Garanga, whatever. Not Krishna Garanga, but the other guy. He does the books at the airport. What are they going to do? What's that guy going to do? What's Burgupati going to do? He's going to be 85 years old. What's he going to be doing? Selling books at El Camino College? Heaven forbid anything happen to him. Like, he gets something happen to him. He's not going to have insurance. He's not going to have medical insurance. He's not going to have no Medicare, Medicaid. What's he gonna do? He didn't get on disability. Temple's not gonna take care of him. He thinks they are. He thinks they are. Temple's not gonna take care of him. What's he gonna do? He's gonna go to Vrindavan and live in a hut by the Radha Kund? Who's gonna pay for that? What's he gonna be doing? Selling books so he can pay for his Bhajan Kuptir by Radha Kund, Shama Kund? They're nuts, man. My late granddad would shout at the prancing sanctum parties to wake the hell up, get a job, and be normal human beings. Your granddad was right. Your granddad was right. Your granddad was right, man. That's the main goal of it, to die in Krishna's service, glories, and go to Goloka Vrindavan as a cross-dressing transvestite and make up on the saris flirting with Krishna. Yeah, the goal is to enter Vrindavan. There's a procession. There's a procession. You don't just beam up and and then you're there, right? You don't just beam in. You don't just beam into Vrindavan. It's like a procession. Like you're meeting the queen. It's like you're meeting the king and queen. You're meeting Krishna. So there's a whole procession. The demigods are there. Everybody's lined up, and you're like Star Wars, and you're walking down this thing, and everybody's there. Lord Shiva, Lakshmi, Indra, they're all there, and everybody's lined up. This long ass line. I guess it's infinite line of 33 million demigods. I don't know. But anyway, and you walk down this line. I don't know if you walk alone, if you're in a line, if there's a group of you. That wasn't made clear. But you walk down this gauntlet Everybody's there. And when you get to the end, is Krishna and Radharani are there. Or Rukmini. Or all of them. I don't know. I guess maybe all of them are there. I don't know. But Radha and Krishna are there because she's the queen of Vrindavan. You're entering into Vrindavan. So Radha and Krishna are there, and you walk up to them, and Krishna, and then you are in your form. Right? I'm not there as Sri Mukunda with my glasses and my wacky hair. I'm there in my gopi form. I'm Mukunda Gopi or whatever, right? I'm Shakshi Lalita Prasad Maharani Gopi Maharani, whatever Gopi name I have, and I'm in my Gopi form. I'm in my original form in Vrindavan. I'm not me. I'm not like this with this. I'm a Gopi, and I'm walking and I'm entering into Vrindavan. So I'm here, Sri Mukunda, I die, and then my spirit soul goes to Vrindavan, right? Because I've done all the service, I've been to Vrindavan, I did all the things that guarantee me taking birth in Vrindavan. I've done all that. So I'm guaranteed a birth in Vrindavan. So, and then I go up into Vaikuntha, and now I'm Lalita Gopi Shakti Maharani, whatever I am. I'm a little girl. I'm a little 11-year-old girl now. Pretty weird, huh? And I'm walking down this thing, and all the demigods are there, and they're all like throwing flowers and garlands and whatever they throw in. It's like a big party. Trumpets are playing. Everyone's chanting mantras, and everything's going on. And I walk up to Krishna, and Krishna gives me a hug. He welcomes me to Vrindavan. He gives me a kiss. He passes betel nut, because he's got betel nut in his mouth, and he passes betel nut into my mouth, and I get to taste the ecstatic overwhelming sensation of kissing Krishna and getting Krishna's saliva mixed with betel nut in my mouth, and I go into ecstasy. And that's how you arrive into Vrindavan. Pretty weird, huh? So I just saved you. I just saved you a whole Gopi Bala Club class. You don't have to. You don't have to worry. You don't have to wonder anymore. You don't have to wonder what's at the end of this whole thing. I just gave it to you. I just spilled the beans. Took me 15 years to learn to have someone tell me that. They don't just tell you that. You don't just walk up to somebody and say, "Hey, what happens when I go to Vrindavan?" Because they're not going to tell you. This is like OT9 if you're a Scientologist. Gaura Bhavana. Gaura Bhavana, I remember him. He would yell at everyone to get out of the temple when it closed it. Gaura Bhavana, yeah, he used to yell at my daughter. They used to the little kids would climb the tree. There was a tree. They chopped that tree down. There was a Nrsinga Dev statue and a tree in front, like in the front of the driveway. If you remember Gaura Bhavana, you remember the Nrsinga Dev. No, it wasn't Nrsinga Dev. It was Kalki. It was Kalki avatar. Kalki avatar in front of the parking lot, a statue of Kalki on his horse with a sword and the whole thing. And there was a tree growing right there, and the kids used to. My daughter was one of them. The kids used to climb the tree and play in the tree, and Gaura Bhavana used to yell at them, "Get out of the tree! Get down! Don't climb in the tree!" And then they removed the tree. They cut the tree down, and they took the statue out, the Kalki statue out of the yard. So yeah, he would sit in front of the restaurant and he would yell at the kids and yell at everybody to get out of the temple, get out of the restaurant, don't play, don't run, don't jump, don't have fun, whatever. Stop having fun. What's your agenda for the people? I don't know what that means. It's in a video. It's in a video. What's in a video? Yeah, sleepy milk at bedtime. Donuts, monkey donuts. Yeah, Prabhupada was such a pure devotee. He liked 11-year-old girls who had cried when he took their hand. Yeah, you don't hear enough about that. You just don't hear enough about that. I think it's such an important thing to know that Prabhupada was married at 22 to an 11-year-old girl, and he had sex with her when she was 11. I think that's an important thing to know. I think that that would weed out a lot of people. I think that if the first thing you learned was if that was the first thing you learned, I think that would weed out a lot of people. It would have weeded me. I would have said, "What? What are you talking about?" Prabhupada is setting his golden standards of examples for males in his cult group called Iskcon, his so-called Gaudiya Vaishnava. 11-year-olds is acceptable. 11-year-olds is totally acceptable. 11 and 12. Jitterati says. Jitterati, Damagosh. And that was the main fracture for me was I did not accept it. I was like, no. And it was like, you're going against Prabhupada. It was like, I did not want to agree to their pedophile bullshit. And that's when the death threats were. That was like, well, we'll come down and we'll settle this in person. Well, because I don't want to be a pedophile, so now I can't be a Hare Krishna. It's crazy. Crazy. The mental illness is absolutely insane. This is why a lot of these persons stay in their cult. They work their way up to become senior devotees or gurus to take advantage of others while also getting maintained financially. Criminals. Yes, it's like a multi-level marketing. It's like a multi-level marketing. If you're good at selling books, you're good at bringing people in. You can lecture. You give a lot of service, dedication. You show yourself that you're dedicated. You can move up, and you can get some responsibility. And then if you just keep at it, chugging away, selling books, doing something. I was doing public access TV. I was working for ITV. So I immediately, everybody knew who I was because I was working at the temple. And I had a daughter in the school, and I was doing public access, and so I was like active. I was doing stuff. And then, and then because of that, then I went with Yashoda. When I met Yashoda Anand, it was like, this is the guy that does the TV shows. This is the guy that does public access. This is the guy that does all this computer work and stuff. And Yashoda was like, oh, why don't you work with me? You can do computer work with me, and we can do videos with me, and you can do stuff with me. So you can work your way up. And then all of a sudden I'm the secretary of the Hare Krishna Society. So now I'm on the board of directors as the secretary of our own 501c nonprofit Krishna Cult. We had our own little Krishna Ritvik cult, and I was moving up in that. But then when I said I don't want to be a pedophile, and I'm not going along with your pedophile crap and your Tattva darshan and your 11-year-old, 12-year-old girls make best wives and all that shit, that's when, well, then you can't be part of it then. Robert, speaking about molested children and their karma, it's in, oh, well, you let me know where that is. I'd like to see that. I am not aware of that one. I'm not aware of that. And maybe I saw it one day when I was a devotee, and it just shot right past me because I was brainwashed and I didn't take notice. That I'm not aware of. So I would like to see that. Yes, I had known he was having sex with an 11-year-old. I would have been like, he is definitely not a pure devotee, and this is a scam. I would have too. I would have said, what kind of pure devotee has sex with an 11-year-old? Because he says, Bhakti Siddhanta was a brahmachari from birth. He never had sex, never discharged semen, never had a wife, never had children. So I was like, well, that's admirable. I mean, I don't know why I thought that, but okay. So, he's took a vow and he's stuck to it. Okay, so hey, at least he's that way. And then Prabhupada got married, and then he had an 11-year-old wife, and he had sex. Well, how come Prabhupada couldn't be the brahmachari from life? How come Prabhupada's pure devotee, sampradaya acharya, and all of that? Why is he having sex with an 11-year-old girl? I did ask my brother once how these pure devotees having children, and he said to never see them as ordinary humans. Yeah, you have to be brainwashed. You just basically, he's saying, when you're brainwashed, then you'll understand. I can't explain it to you until you're brainwashed. Then when you're brainwashed, then we can have this discussion, and then you'll understand it. But until you're brainwashed, I can't have this conversation with you because it's offensive and all this other stuff. So anyway, I think I've gone on long enough. I'm gone like an hour over what I wanted to go. I've talked an extra hour, but it was worth it because this stuff needs to be talked about. People in here that are watching that are Hare Krishnas, and I know you're in here, you need to hear the truth. You need to hear this stuff. And you need to hear it not only from me, you need to hear it from other people that have been in it. You need to see videos of people that know what they're talking about. You need to hear it from experts. You need to hear it. You need to hear it. You need to hear it from a lot of different people. And so it's good that you're in here watching. It doesn't matter that you don't like the video. It doesn't matter that you talk shit. I don't care. It's important that you're hearing what needs to be heard. And so I want to thank you for that. And all of you that are joining in and commenting and putting in your comments, that's so important that people can see that it's not just me. It's not just me yelling at a brick wall or me yelling at a computer. That it's everyone has this experience. There's many people out there just like me, but they're just not on the internet talking about it. They've had experiences. They know people that have been molested. They've been molested themselves. They've been abused. They've seen people abused. So you keep watching. Come back. You're welcome to come back and hear more. And everybody, thank you, everybody. Thank you, Trey Martin. All your input is so well. I need to know. I need to hear more stories. And I want to thank you all for sharing with me. I know it's not always easy to share your story because it may involve other people, and you don't know if they want their story told. Like my daughter. You know, I didn't tell my daughter's story for a long time because it's her business. And then she told me, she said, "It's okay, Dad. You can talk about it. It's okay." So now I freely talk about what happened with my daughter. So I understand that not everybody out there wants to talk about their experiences or what they know. It can be difficult. It can be very difficult for people to share traumatic things. And I can't wait for the next class either. We're gonna do more. We're gonna do more history, more news, and more spinning the wheel and see where it lands, because I think that's a lot of fun. We'll spin that wheel and see what happens. I want to thank everybody for watching. This class is over, and ding, there's the bell. Class is over. Thanks, everybody. Please like, share, and subscribe. Please like, share, subscribe this, and also remember that my videos are backed up on Substack. So if one day you come to my YouTube and I'm gone, you can go to my Substack, and I'll definitely be there as well. But right now, everything's good. Right now, I'm in no danger of anything happening. But you never know what can happen. So thanks, everybody. Please have a great day, great morning, great afternoon, great night, great evening, and have some great luck. And please stay out of a cult. And here, enjoy. For all of you out there, it's your first time watching. Here are some pictures of me as a Hare Krishna. Whoops. Here's me as a Hare Krishna, everybody.